So another video about the twin flame journey, my twin flame journey, our twin flame journey. It's so funny when you look back and you see all the parts of your twin flame in every relation that you've had, of all the twists and the turns in the life that lead you up to this moment. And for me, for us, they're like little lights that the divine, our angels, a guide, whatever, have put there in a place, like marking the way, lighting up the way for the union and for us being together and connecting. And it goes all the way back, all the way back, all the way back. I mean, just to say that how I got here, just very briefly. When I was little, I always felt lost in the UK. I never felt at home there. And I always tried to find a way to move to France. I knew that was my home after holidays there. And when I went to uni and I met the father of my daughters, who was French, he was the one that actually took me to France. But prior to that, I'd had a boyfriend who convinced me not to go to France, not to go to university. And then when I finished with him, I had another boyfriend who came in and persuaded me to go to university. However, I'd failed my A-levels and I couldn't go to the uni I wanted, and I had to do another course. It took me another 2 years to get me to uni. And at the same time, the father of my daughters, who I met at university, he'd also failed his at the same time. And if either of us had passed, we'd never got to uni. And luckily that boyfriend came in to persuade me to go there. And while at uni, obviously seeing a French person, that was my life. It woke something up me to go back to France, and we did. We moved to France, where I felt totally at home. Totally at home. It was where I was, and I lived there for 20 years. And I never saw myself going back to England ever, because that just wasn't me. And I almost moved down to an area in France that was really where the heart of so many English people were. And there's just no way I could have gone there ever, because if you're in France, you live as a French do. And all my life in France, I tried to be French. I convinced myself almost that I was French. It was my favourite subject at school, and everything. Everything was France for me. And so to be an English in France, it just wasn't going to cut it. And another boyfriend of mine, I had got upset one time about people guessing I was English from my accent when I spoke French. And he said to me, "Nikki, accept you are English living in France." And then it hit me, because all these years over here, I'll get to the point in a minute why this is so important. All my life here, I've tried to be French and to quieten down the English side of me, to ignore it, not to accept that I was English. And then, I'd always said I'd die over here. And then just before lockdown in March, I had 3 signs from the universe. I came out of work at 5:30, and I got in my car, and my newish car, was showing on the clock, digital clock, 4:30. Oh, that can't be possible. It can't be 4:30. I was lost in time for 2 minutes. I did not know where I was, completely lost, and had to retrack my day and realize it was 5:30 and not 4:30. I then connected my phone, tried to connect my phone to the Bluetooth. My phone had been eradicated from the system. Okay, sometimes, it gets cut out, whatever. But you find it back in the system. There's a way to find it back in. I wasn't there. My phone was not in the system at all. And except on the screen was an English name that appeared. Another phone on the Bluetooth system, an English name. I was in France. I parked in the same car park at work for 12 years. Why would an English name appear on my radio? So English time at 4:30, an English name with the Bluetooth. Okay, what are you playing at? Do you really want me to do this? 2 days later, I got confirmation. I opened my purse and there was a £1 coin in it. I was in France. I don't have English money. I hadn't been back to England for 2 years. I just changed my purse to a new purse. Why was a £1 coin in my purse? How did that happen? And then, okay, you've got it. Okay, I'll go back to the UK. So in August, I moved back to the UK. And moving back, I felt so at home. I never one moment thought about France. I never missed France. There's the odd things like the bread or, certain food or whatever. But for me, I was totally in England and I had to shut out France for me to really be at peace with the English part of me and to really accept who I was. And being back here, I'm in England at the moment, I really identified with the English part of me. I really accepted it. And so I knew I was back here, I don't know how long for, but I knew it wasn't for good, but I knew that I had to make peace. And then 18 months ago, I connected with a friend on Facebook. And we all seemed to have this connection. There was always the odd comment on Facebook, and there was just something between us. Though at that point, it was just like we were just commenting. There was nothing there. And over time, we began to send each other the odd message about, what was happening, etc. And then about 3 weeks ago, these messages got more. And when I actually moved back to the UK, I knew that he would say to me, because I felt the same, that he would miss me. How is it possible that he can miss me, that we've never actually seen each other? He lives in France. So nothing had really changed apart from the fact that I changed land. And yet nothing was actually going to change between our relationship because we'd never connected physically. But I felt the same. And we started to connect really about 3 weeks ago. The message got more and more and more. Just over a week, it got very intense. And on the 11th, it's when it all happened, which I'll come back to another point. But my twin flame, he lives in France, in the heart of where all the English are, in an area that I looked at maybe to move with my ex-partner, but I didn't want to because it was too English. And if I hadn't have moved back to the UK, I'd have never have been happy about the idea of moving back to this area. And that I had to integrate the French and the English side of me to make me complete, to make me whole, and not to deny any part of me, so that our union could be complete as well, to be whole, and for us to live this life together in an area that is also the English that are integrated into France. And for me, I've just thought of something. Where he is, the English are integrated into France. It's like the physical representation of me, my soul, which is also where he is, as also being my soul. And it's the whole physical surround of just being, yeah, the physical representation of the French English part of me. So just that one part of my journey of me going to France and moving back to the UK had significant effect on us. He's been over there for 7 years. He thought about going back to the UK, but hated it and came back. There's just no way. So, you know, we're both in the same way. And I know I've had many, many lives over here, many past lives in France. And it's just one of the tiny steps, but in actual fact is huge. And how those ex-boyfriends had shaped my path to be here. That if, you know, if I hadn't gone to uni, I may not have been to France. If I hadn't have met the French person to reconnect with my Frenchness, I may never have come to France 11/11 again. And for me, that's just one of the tiny things, but it was a big thread of the French and the Englishness between us. And there's so many more to speak about. And I just really hope that over these next videos, I can talk about, replay, remind myself, remember all the tiny bits and how these help. And I think it's so important to look back on our journey and to take stock of where we are now and the steps that took us there together. Because when we look back, like for example, when I failed my A-levels that stopped me to go into uni, I thought the world had fallen. I thought the world was crashed, that was it was the end of it. But in actual fact, it was the start, and I had to do that. I had to fail that to get to uni, because if I'd passed, I would have not met the partner of the father of my daughters, and I've probably not have gone to France. And so even the parts where we fail are not actually fails, they're just ways to put us on the right track for our future. And it's like the future is already there, it's already planned. The blueprint is already there. And we just have to go along with it, because my goodness, Spirit has other plans for us, and we just have to let go and follow. And that's one thing I want to talk about in another video as well, of just letting go and allowing, because it's such a major part in life. So there we go, just one small element of my life, of how this has come to be. And it's like I really want to look at this tapestry that has been sewn, and to show the different colours of the threads in there that make it up, because each thread plays an important part of that picture. Thank you for listening.